Hello and welcome to NYCryptoTalk. Today's project review is on NKN, a new kind of network. So this is a project brought to you by one of the original co-founders of the on-chain project, and this is a very exciting project. I've been interested in doing a review on this for quite a while and have gotten quite a bit of requests on it. So what is NKN? Well, NKN is a new kind of network connectivity protocol and ecosystem powered by blockchain for an open, decentralized, and shared internet. Basically, they want to be able to use idle resources and bandwidth to build nodes and have a relay system to basically have a decentralized sharing platform for decentralized network. So they're going to use this decentralized network as if they were an ISP. They're going to build this system from a group of users. So this is going to be a massive project, a massive undertaking to build this network. I will go through everything that I've gathered so far. Some great information out there on the web as far as the team is concerned, the tech behind it, some background behind the vision for the project. So looking at their website, I'm going to jump into a couple of main highlights that I saw here. They did release the code, so you can actually go to NKN's GitHub page. I'm always a big fan of this, and you can actually see all the repositories, all the contributors, all the different pieces of the project that are currently being worked on. This was a timer, and it was just released during the CPC DevCon ahead of schedule. This was something that was set to be released about 20 days later than CPC DevCon, but they did release it early, so they are trying to hit all their goals. So they talk about the shortcomings of today's internet. Obviously, if you guys are not aware of net neutrality, which is a major issue in the United States right now, and it has now been revoked, so there is no more net neutrality currently in place as of only a couple of weeks ago. The net utilization inefficiency, that basically the supply and demand is not optimal and people have very high utilization and they don't have as much bandwidth, and then the opposite takes place where a lot of people have a lot of bandwidth and they don't take use of all of that bandwidth. And then a deficiency of today's software-defined network, which needs a centralized controller, and it is a bottleneck, and it allows for targeted, coordinated attacks that can paralyze a whole network. So there's some issues that are currently happening right now with traditional ISPs, and what they want to be able to do to revolutionize that is adding a third pillar to the blockchain. Right now we have storage, and we have computation storage in the form of things like IPFS, and then computation as far as Ethereum. And they want to be able to decentralize the connectivity exchange between individuals and be able to handle millions of micropayments from millions of users in real time. And they want to be able to decentralize that software-defined network that I mentioned earlier at a global scale, and that will help with a lot of these vulnerabilities that are happening right now in the centralized model. So the three main goals within their project is to have a highly scalable consensus, and this is going to be based on the cellular automata concept and the icing model. And don't confuse cellular automata as a cell phone. It is just a consensus mechanism that they're going to be utilizing, and it has to do with peer-to-peer as well as neighborhoods, so connectivity to close peers on the network and being able to utilize that information to make the network much faster and scalable. Proof of relay uses a signature chain as a proof of relay at all nodes along the network. This allows for highly secure data transmission that is not only verifiable but impossible to tamper with or forge. So similar to proof of work, they want a secure method. And then they tokenize connectivity. Their economic model will be to reward individuals for sharing their idle traffic with other users on the platform. So NKN is more than the new internet. There's ultra openness, Uberized connectivity, and community co-built network. So they are basically allowing this for a fully open internet network for anyone to access. It's true peer-to-peer connectivity, and it is scalable. They'll also be incentivizing it, and it will be built by the community. So people want, they want be able they want individuals to be able to build on top of the network within the platform. So it is a community-based platform. They don't want this to be a centralized platform where it is locked down and certain individuals can only do certain things. They want to be able to open it for developers to build on top of it. The core team involves Yambo Lee, and Yambo Lee is the former co-founder of Onchain. If you guys are not familiar, Onchain is the originator prior to Neo, so the core designer and developer of the blockchain system DNA, which is the architecture that Onchain uses. And he has a lot of great experience. He's also been an advisor on a lot of projects. Yambo Lee has a lot of information out there. You can actually even go to his GitHub page and check out all the repositories he has worked on in the past, as well as all the different code he has written. He is the main developers on the project, so not only is he the founder, but he is also the core developer as well. And then you have Bruce Lee, who actually had spent many years at Nokia and led the R&D across teams in the US, European Union, and in China. And then you have Yulin Zhang, who has a PhD in physics and also is an expert when it comes to the network topology that they're going to be using, which is the cellular automata and the Ising model. So he is a full stack engineer who has a lot of experience in the industry. They also have an advisor, and if you guys are not familiar, he is actually the inventor of the public key cryptography, Whitfield Diffie, which the original public key cryptography is called the Diffie-Hellman. He also is a Turing Award winner. He has a lot of background, so having an advisor in this role capacity is having similar to that of a Bill Gates. When it comes to cryptography, he is one of the most well-known individuals, so having him as an advisor role in this project is hands down an A+ in my book. They did just release the first live testnet over global nodes with the core subsystems working together, and I will show that there's a YouTube video of that where they actually previewed it. And this was when the CPC DEF CON was taking place, where they actually released the testnet as well as the source code. So they are now live in their testnet environment. They have a couple of revisions to their testnet over the next couple of months. And all through the next couple of months, there's a lot of things that are happening as far as SDK, optimizing scalability, enhancing the attack resisting, and a larger scale testnet. And in March 2019, they plan to have the Beluga release of their mainnet, and in June 2019, they have their version 1.0 of their Narwhal, which is the mainnet and the NKN ecosystem. Their true mainnet will be live in June 2019. Obviously, this could be being very cautious with the time frame. I prefer to see things further out and then hit it earlier. But obviously June 2019 for this large scope of a project makes sense with the amount of technology that's going to go into this project. They do have partnerships with telecommunications platforms as well as networking companies, and their slogan is "Free the bits, rebuild the internet we always wanted." If you go to their webpage, you can actually see the preview of the testnet, the demo that they show of the Blockchain Explorer, showing real-time status of their testnet distributed globally. If you want to get a good visual representation of what the project is, definitely check out nkn.org's YouTube page. You can get a good explainer video on how it actually works. As I mentioned before, if you guys are not familiar what Onchain is and how big and massive Onchain is, definitely check out Hacker Noon's article about how Neo Onchain works and how the DNA architecture was evolved, so you can have a better understanding of where the co-founder of NKN comes from and how this project could actually evolve over time, because a lot of great things came out of Onchain, and I believe NKN is definitely going to be one of them. So looking at their introduction slides, I don't want to go too much into the tech side of things today because it is overwhelming, to say the least. This is probably one of the largest projects I've looked at as far as scope is concerned on how they're going to do this. And even I, with a technical background, I am not familiar with a lot of these consensus models, and to be able to break that down to you, I would not want to misspeak and say something incorrectly. It is very technical, and a lot of things are very specific to the project. These are very unique models that they are using with the cellular automata. So right now, the missing element. Right now they say that there's storage, there's computation, but the missing piece is network. It is a $1.4 trillion business, and this is where they plan to put their proof of relay or their proof of transmission, and that's where they're going to fill the gap. So these are the problems that I mentioned before. One of the things that I didn't go over is network fragmentation. Obviously, there are tons of ISPs globally, and only some of these ISPs are actually able to share traffic. And what NKN basically is trying to do is to be able to allow everyone to share their traffic within the nodes that are given out in the NKN platform. There's also the issue with privacy. So NKN is planning to be the first decentralized network connectivity exchange to handle millions of micropayments for millions or even billions of users in real time. They also want to be able to be the first or the main decentralized software-defined network at a global scale. It enables network operators and enterprises to dynamically route traffic according to real-time performance metrics and cost. And then they talk about how they're going to do it. The four core elements of the NKN technology is the decentralized data transmission network, the proof of relay, the blockchain's consensus, and the incentive distribution mechanism. So these are the main four core elements of the NKN technology. So some key points about the cellular automata. Of course, this is not too technical. So basically, it is a network that's fully decentralized, homogeneous and parallel, dynamic, self-organized, and self-evolving, simplicity of rules. So the first key portion of the project, the decentralized data transmission network. Basically, this is the network topology and how they're going to be able to route the information from the different devices that are connected to the network. So whether you have an iPad, a desktop, a cellular phone, all this information is going to go onto the network, and unique NKN address is used to identify these different nodes and allowing them to interconnect and share their information with the other users. Basically, this is an overlay on top of TCP/IP. Then you have the proof of relay. So the proof of relay uses signature chain as a proof of relay at all nodes along the network route. This allows a secure data transmission that is not only verifiable but also impossible to tamper with. So basically, each time a transaction happens, there's a beginning and end. Then the next block basically confirms the last transaction. So it's very similar to how most traditional blocks work, but the proof of relay basically allows the signature chain to go through all the nodes along the network route, and that's how secure it's going to be, because it's going to be going through each one of these nodes along the whole network. You have a much more secure system. And using the cellular automata and the icing model, this consensus algorithm, they plan to have the P2P networking across millions of nodes and allowing it to be super scalable due to the fact that as more users get added onto the system becomes more scalable. So there will be two different types of token incentive distribution. One is for sharing your data or relaying the traffic for other users, as well as a mining reward depending on the proportion of the amount of data that participants help relay. So it will be similar to a proof of work model, but at the same time it will also be a sharing distribution model where if you share your network utilization, that information will go to another person and you'll get paid in NKN tokens. They plan on locking up 30% of the tokens for miners over the next 25 years that will get rewarded for traffic relay and block maintenance. 35% is going out to the initial group of individuals. The NKN Foundation will hold 17% of the tokens, and then 18% will actually go to the developers, which include the founding team as well as community developers. So this is what the ecosystem would look like. You have your NKN network here, the different types of devices that can connect to the NKN network, infrastructure, which includes routers. Then, of course, you have your traditional ISPs, and then all the applications which will then route through the NKN network. So this is their business plan. It's very interesting, to say the least, because I did not expect them to be able to try to target ISPs in the first place. So they plan to actually reach out to certain ISPs to utilize the NKN network. And the reason being that the value for ISPs are they have a new source of revenue. It extends the existing network. It uses open source, which allows lower costs and provides greater agility, and aligns with net neutrality. Value for the NKN is to be able to leverage existing network deployments. ISPs are infra vendor influencers. They also plan to collaborate with devices for seamless user experience, and basically any users can basically use the NKN network. They also want to be able to cultivate developers to drive traffic. So by having a SDK, they can help build applications on top of the existing platforms or build new applications to be able to utilize the network usage of NKN. So the different application scenarios, if you think about it, it is a peer-to-peer network. So as long as other users have the application, you basically can utilize those other people's services by connecting to them via Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, ad hoc, or through a hotspot, and you basically can consume the data that the other user has available to them and get your site loaded quicker, use the services quicker. That person will get rewarded for sharing their idle resources to you. Another use case is if there is a small ISP that doesn't have as many users, and they basically can share their unused bandwidth for the NKN network, which will attract users, and at the same time they're going to earn tokens from the NKN network for being a relay for other users on the network. Also, as I mentioned before, as a P2P platform, NKN will allow users to basically freely communicate over the network without having to worry about a central server for the data. Being that everything is basically in the P2P network, all that information can route through the nodes, route through the NKN network, send the information from one user to another without having a centralized server on the cloud. So without going through the white paper in detail, I did review it myself. It's a little bit more on the technical side, as I said. I am a very big fan of NKN. I do believe they have a long way to go. They do have a very long roadmap, but I think they have a very good vision, a very good team. The vision itself reminds me of what Substratum is trying to do, but they're trying to do it in a different way, shape, or form. With net neutrality going on right now, I think these decentralized networks are definitely something that's going to be looked into a lot further. I think that the utilization of a peer-to-peer network on the platform is something that's going to be needed. I think Substratum is doing something that's revolutionary. I think NKN is still doing something very revolutionary, building these protocols, these ecosystems for the network side of decentralization. So I'm a big fan of NKN. I'm a big fan of on-chain. So anybody who jumps from the on-chain platform to another project definitely gives me some idea of where things can go. But definitely recommend everyone to check out NKN. Obviously, this is not financial advice. Check out their white paper. Check out their YouTube. Check out their Medium page. Check out their GitHub if you want to check their code commits. There's a lot of great information out there. I definitely am going to be keeping it on my radar for the next couple months. I'm a big fan of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification to get notified about new videos, and have a fantastic day. Thanks again for watching.